Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by Lines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are looking at NBA best bets here on Monday for you guys. Going to also have an episode up with the player props, so make sure that you are subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along and check out both these episodes each and every weekday this NBA season. Pretty good night there to close the week, if I do say so myself, from Friday. Some pretty good picks in there. I personally looked at my own just to see that I swept between the player props and the best bets. Forgot to look at yours, so hopefully you did as well as I did. But either way, let's get right into your first best bet of the day.
I was garbage on Friday, but I think I carried you on Thursday. So yeah, we go back and forth. Right. We alternate. We help each other out.
People helping people, man. People helping people.
Yep. First pick though. Here for Monday is the Kings, and it's up to -4.5. I was writing at 3.5. I think it's definitely in play to just take an alt and get it down below that, and just take like the Knicks money line or a Knicks alt because they're -11. You like their team total. I don't disagree. I don't think even Jamal Mosley can work the mojo to beat that team on the road right now with the skeleton crew he's got. But like looking at the Kings, yeah, I mean they could easily cover 4.5. They are on a back-to-back, but like, let's just take a vibes check. I mean, the Heat are right now suspended Jimmy Butler, just an absolute train wreck in terms of team chemistry and vibes with that being their leader and trying to figure out the next step. And they've just gone completely in the tank, giving up 136 at home to Utah. It's just like the absolute low. They have not traveled well, 2-5 in their last 7 roadies with a 108 offensive rating, won a couple low scoring slugfests, but the Kings are not that anymore. They have suddenly found their offense, and while they're on a back-to-back and De'Aaron Fox might not go, like that could actually just like simplify things in terms of getting DeRozan going. Like they're just kind of a weird fit together, but with DeRozan, Monk, and Sabonis running the show together, like they were very impressive. Scoring all over Memphis on Friday. They're defensively have maintained some of the good principles from Mike Brown. Still elite fast break defense, and Miami's half-court offense is poo-poo, as we know. And now Keon Ellis, I mean, especially if Fox misses a second game, Keon Ellis out there to hound Hero or Rozier all game. So you got to like that. They didn't have to play that much last night because it was a blowout over the Dubs. And there's just some value here on a back-to-back. So, I mean, if you think about that, they're 3-0 against the spread as home dogs. They're not dogs here, but they would be like -7 probably if this was an equal rest situation. I think in general, maybe books have overplayed the back-to-back with the spreads this year, and NBA teams are really managing it and preparing for it and saying like, this is going to be a key to success for us this year. Is like, we have to be ready to go on the second night. We can't just forfeit these games. And the Kings right now are really trying to turn this thing around and build some positive vibes, like I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one too. I was at the Kings Warriors game last night, and I don't know, man. Things look a lot better without De'Aaron Fox right now. But I think we can say the same thing when DeMar is missing, for instance, right? Like it's just the fit that we've been talking about. So I don't care if D Fox is in either. This is just more than anything a fade of the Miami Heat. The Kings really don't have anywhere else to go but up with the level of talent that they have. And I would say that the Heat might still have room to fall. I don't know. After last game's drubbing, I don't know if they can fall much further, but they don't seem like they're going to resurrect at any point in time soon. So this is the only way I'd be betting on a Miami game, is just fading the overall Miami Heat right now. But let me go to that Knicks team total that you foreshadowed there and take over 111.5 for the Knickerbockers. Suggs is questionable. I think Suggs playing might be good for the team total, so maybe Orlando can stick around a little bit more. But obviously, without him out there, it's the team's best wing defender, on-ball defender, just overall best player at this point, with Goga bringing up the rear as the second best and most important person on this team at this point. But they just lost to Utah yesterday, gave up 108 to this Utah squad that did not have either of the JCs, Jordan Clarkson or John Collins, did not have Keontae George, did not have Lauri Markkanen, and there's a few others that were on there too that I haven't even mentioned, like Cody Williams and a couple other guys. So this defense for the Magic, especially if Suggs doesn't play, now we're talking about more Cole Anthony, who was basically leading them as the point guard and didn't even have an assist in that game. But really everything just sort of changes for the way that this Magic team is able to play defense when they don't have, obviously, Paolo and Franz starting there, but then you have Suggs as well, and his ability to just ball hawk and allow others to sort of play free safety and then alleviates things for guys like Anthony Black to guard more on the wing. That's why the Jazz had success outside as well as driving into the lane yesterday. That's kind of where you beat them. But just start with the numbers for a minute too. Like the Knicks are scoring $120 at home on the season. They have 121 offensive rating there. They're still not playing with much pace. They're at a 98 pace, which is actually decently fast for them compared to last season, I would say, because they get out into transition now. And that's what I think we're going to see here is a bunch of transition and a bunch of open shots because of the way that this defense can no longer just really make up for its ball pressure, right? By moving around on defense and really switching and all that. There's a lot less fluidity and options there, especially if Suggs doesn't play, once again, with Anthony. But even with Suggs, you're talking about guys like Houston and Jet at this point getting a lot more minutes than they should be, guarding guys like McHale, OG, and then obviously on ball for Brunson. It's probably De Silva on Brunson if there is no Suggs. I just like all of that. I think they're going to continue to be the most efficient team in transition. It's been a lot of jump shooting, but it's open jump shots. They still have a really, really high shot quality index on the season and in the last 20, where they're in the top 5 in the league if you look at the SQI stuff. But either way, they're getting good shots. They're making the open shots. And I think they're just going to continue to get that against this Orlando team that's going to scramble. And this could easily be a blowout as well.
Yeah, they did handle them in Orlando the last two, and it was low scoring. But like you're saying, back at home, the last time they hosted them 121. And Orlando just even Jamal Mosley can't make the magic here. Is like I'm saying, like there's just you don't have the bodies. So yeah, I'm going to look at some alt lines here, see what kind of odds I can get the Knicks down into single digits, and with some of the other picks I like tonight because I think they are a lock to win. Maybe Magic keep it close. They do tend to grind things out and keep it below 10 points.
They could.
I think the Knicks handle business coming off a loss to the Bulls. So, but I will still fade the Bulls here. Spurs -3 at Chicago. Because, the Bulls you're going to depend on 3-point variance if they're going to beat good teams. Like, they 54% to 27%. They outshot the Knicks on Saturday. That is a win. Great. Last time they played the Spurs, 48% to 29%. That was a win. Great. But the Spurs since then have actually kind of learned their lesson, figured out how to defend the 3-point line, funnel shots to the restricted area where opponents are still shooting second lowest percentage with Wemby lurking down there. And their defense has just been fantastic. Number 4 3-point D, number 1 overall field goal D, still limiting free throws, still elite in transitions, shutting down what the Bulls like to do there. Other side of the ball, their paint points are way up. They're very high. Assist rate is up. And the Bulls, they let you parade right to the paint. Like they're just going to try to take it out of the basket and run and outscore you. And I just don't think the Spurs are going to let them do that. This is just a different team than they saw about 5 weeks, a month ago, where their only losses since then have been to Minnesota twice in pretty competitive games, to Denver after beating Denver, and then losses but covers against the Knicks and Sixers. And otherwise, like the Spurs have beaten pretty much every Eastern Conference team they've gotten an opportunity to, except for that Bulls outlier game with Wemby out there. Like they beat the East. They're 4-2 against the spread at this point. They are 4-0 straight up as road favorites. And the Bulls, on the other hand, when they play a good Western Conference team, they're 2-7 straight up or against the spread. They're going to be missing Io here. That's definitely a big deal. And I think you can continue to bank on this like 3-point regression to the mean, and on Vucevic not really having much success on either end, matching up with Wemby, and the Spurs just being generally a very feisty team that comes with it, a young team that I think can handle business when they get favored here when they're in a good spot.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know why we would be giving this much credit to Chicago right now in this situation either. And San Antonio, they lost by 11 to Denver in the last game in overtime. Obviously, Jokic just took complete over. And everything we're seeing from SAS right now is that they are a slightly above 500 team in the league. I just don't think Chicago is good enough to hang with them unless things go horribly wrong. But I think we'll see plenty of assists for the Spurs team that's been moving the ball really well without really any sort of black holes other than Wemby, who has the green light all the time. But you're fine with that at this point. When he makes threes, you're just like, is he the best player ever. How do you stop that? You can't get a hand in his face. So we'll see even if he doesn't continue his hot shooting, this is a nice small spread that I think is mispriced as well. But let me go to another one that's just Portland at Detroit. Nothing sexy about it, but don't look now. Detroit is dead right in the middle in terms of everything. Like they're 17 and 18. They're basically 16th in the league in record, win percentage, everything. As 6-point favorites at home, like they're just a much better team than Portland. And in the last 5, Detroit's been the 6th best defense in the league with the 9th best net rating. And I just love what I'm seeing from more minutes for Oscar Thompson, who I don't think is going to play in this game at this point. I think he was literally scratched within the last 30 minutes before we started recording. But I'm still okay with this at -6. And if this moves in our favor without Oscar, who's been really important to them, then I'm still fine, obviously, taking it below 6. For Portland, they just at this point, they're just relying on jump shooting and offensive rebounds, essentially, when they have a ton of bigs, just a parade of them. But between Ayton and Klingon, you've got Kamara, who's been attacking the offensive boards a ton in his last roughly 10 games, has really taken that on. Avdia as well. So this is a team that's pretty big at every position outside of Anthony Simons and Scoot when he comes in, but even Shaden Sharp, pretty big for a shooting guard. So they are relying a ton on just going to the rim and getting the boards. But this is a very, very good rebounding team in Detroit, who is 5th in limiting offensive rebound percentage to the opponent. Portland is 4th in offensive rebound percentage, 5th in second chance points, and 2nd in the percentage of their points that come off of second chance points. So they're very reliant on that. And it's just, this is not the team that you're going to get that kind of stuff against. As I said, a very, very good rebounding team at all positions, obviously, including Jalen Duren and even Beef Stew when he comes in. And then the jump shooting, they're 2nd in mid-range frequency. The Detroit is 8th in limiting mid-range points over the course of the last 10 games, a little bit better than the first 10 games of the season or so, first 15 games of the season. But they're back up into a really, really good defensive team in that sense. And on the other side, they are getting the 11th most offensive rebounds, or at least the highest rebound percentage in Portland. Not a good defensive rebounding team, not much cohesion there when it comes to team rebounding, 29th in limiting offensive rebound percentage to the opponent. And this is the road Portland Trailblazers, which is a very even more particularly bad team than the home Portland Trailblazers, who are 500 at home, 8-8 on the road. This team is 4-14 straight up. They are 8-10 against the spread. They have had 7 double-digit spreads in those 18 games, so most of them are not close, and they are losing by an average of 10 points per game and failing to cover that spread by about 3.5 points per game as well with those double-digit ones. So I'm fine with this number at 6. I think I would take this up to about 6.5, which is also hanging around there. And obviously, if we get any news about guys out for Detroit, maybe we get this moved in our favor a little bit.
Yeah, giving up 55 rebounds a game on the road are the Portland Trailblazers. Everything you mentioned, I didn't actually put Jalen Duren in the player props, but I think I'm going to fire a little parlay with the double-double and the win here, plus 210. A little sprinkle on that for sure, because he's had some tough matchups in a row and keeps splitting minutes with Beef Stew, but he can definitely eat against Ayton and this company. He went for 27 and 22 in 37 minutes the last time they played Portland last year. And all we need is that 10-10, which he's still been able to get in some of these tough matchups lately. So on board with the Pistons win here and Duren to do his thing.
Yep, still holding on to my 10-1 ticket that they make the playoffs. So hoping that they maintain this play-in position, maybe sneak into 6, probably not sneak into 6, but maybe get into that play-in. We'll see. Either way, that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely want to make sure to subscribe to that page, give that video a like, and check out the player props episode that we have up as well each and every day moving forward. And until we see you next, happy betting.